Hey everyone, welcome back to Bike Beat. Today, I've got something special for you. Suzuki has decided to bring back a cult classic, and it comes in the form of the 2026 VanVan 200. This bike is one of those quirky machines that doesn't fit neatly into a category. It isn't a sport bike, it isn't a pure dirt bike, and it isn't quite a cruiser either. It's its own thing, and that's exactly why people love it. Today I'm going to take you through everything: the design, the features, the ride experience, how it compares to its rivals, the price, and ultimately, whether it deserves a place in your garage. When you first see the VanVan 200 in person, there's a sense of familiarity. The proportions are humble, approachable, and almost playful. The low, wide bench seat makes it look more like an old scrambler or even a mini cruiser. The big, chunky tires immediately grab attention. They're almost cartoonish compared to most motorcycles in this category, but that's part of the charm. They make the bike look capable of rolling over just about anything, from city potholes to loose gravel to sandy trails. The bodywork is kept simple, with the classic rounded tank and a modest exhaust capped with a heat shield. Nothing is excessive, and that's the beauty of it. It feels pure, honest, and stripped down. Sit on the bike, and you realize Suzuki has deliberately designed this for comfort and accessibility. The seat is wide and nicely padded, sitting fairly low to the ground, making it ideal for shorter riders or those just starting out. The handlebars are tall and wide, giving you plenty of leverage and a commanding view of the road. The mirrors are round, retro-styled, but functional, giving you a good field of vision. The foot pegs are mid-mounted, so you sit in a neutral upright position, not leaned forward like on a sport bike, not stretched out like on a cruiser. It's the kind of bike that invites you to just relax and enjoy the ride rather than push it to the limit. Fire it up, and the engine gives you a mellow, friendly thump. This isn't a powerhouse, and it doesn't pretend to be. The single-cylinder 200 cubic centimeters motor is tuned for torque at the bottom and mid-range, meaning you get smooth pull off the line and predictable response at city speeds. It's fuel-injected, so the throttle is linear, and you don't get those jerks that plagued carbureted bikes. It feels smooth, accessible, and almost agricultural in a good way. It's a machine that prioritizes reliability and everyday usability over flashy performance numbers. Out on the road, the VanVan 200 shines in environments where other bikes might feel stiff or twitchy. In city traffic, it's light and maneuverable, letting you dart between cars or squeeze through narrow lanes without stress. The wide bars give you leverage, so steering feels natural and almost playful. The fat tires soak up bumps and imperfections in the road, giving you confidence even on rough tarmac. On gravel or dirt paths, those tires are your best friend. They bite into loose surfaces, keeping you from slipping around too much. The suspension, with its soft front forks and twin shocks, is set up more for comfort than aggression. You feel cushioned, not beaten up, even when the road isn't perfect. Take it on a twisty road, and you quickly realize this is not a sport bike. The fat tires do limit lean angle, and if you try to push too hard, you'll scrape pegs or feel the tires squirm a bit. But that's not what the VanVan is about. It's about cruising at a steady, comfortable pace, enjoying the scenery, and taking the backroads instead of the freeway. The brakes are adequate for the bike's modest speed and weight, with a disc up front and a rear that in most markets will also be a disc. ABS is included, which is a big plus. It keeps things safe, especially for new riders or on slippery roads. Braking isn't razor sharp, but it's progressive and predictable, which is exactly what you want in a relaxed ride. Now, let's talk scenarios. Imagine you're a city commuter who doesn't want a soulless scooter but also doesn't need a big 600 cubic centimeters beast. The VanVan is perfect. It's light, simple, easy to park, and gets good fuel economy. Or imagine you live near the countryside and want a bike you can ride to work during the week, then take down dirt trails or to the beach on weekends. Again, the VanVan fits. It's not an off-road warrior, but it's perfectly happy splashing through mud puddles or rolling across sand without getting nervous. Or maybe you're an experienced rider with a big touring machine in the garage, and you just want something small, fun, and different for quick errands or Sunday coffee runs. The VanVan gives you that playful, no-pressure vibe that makes even short rides feel enjoyable. Compared to rivals, the VanVan stands in a unique place. The closest competitor is Yamaha's TW200, another fat-tired dual-purpose bike. Both share a similar philosophy, but the VanVan feels a little more stylish and retro, while the Yamaha leans slightly more rugged and utilitarian. Honda doesn't have a direct equivalent, though some of its small dual sports come close, like the CRF 300L, but those are more serious off-road machines and much taller. The VanVan is friendlier, less intimidating, and more about lifestyle than performance. That makes it appealing to a different crowd, people who want something approachable, stylish, and a little quirky. On the ownership side, the VanVan should be inexpensive to maintain. The single-cylinder motor is simple and proven, requiring just basic servicing. Fuel consumption should hover around 25 to 30 kilometers per liter, making it cheap to run. Tires will be a bit of a specialty item, given their unusual size, but Suzuki's wide dealer network and aftermarket support should help with availability. The bike is small and light enough to store easily, and the exposed design means cleaning and basic checks are straightforward. It's the kind of bike you can keep in the garage for years, pull out whenever you like, and it'll always put a smile on your face. In terms of price, Suzuki is expected to place the VanVan 200 around $5,000 to $6,500 depending on the market. In some regions with heavy taxes and import duties, it could creep up to $8,000 or more. If it comes to Pakistan, you'd likely see it between 1.6 and 2.2 million rupees once all fees are factored in. This places it firmly in the affordable fun category, not the cheapest option, but also not so expensive that it feels out of reach. When you consider the uniqueness of the design, the usability, and the character it offers, the price makes sense. Now, let's be fair about its limitations. If you plan to ride long distances at highway speeds, this bike isn't ideal. The upright posture and lack of wind protection mean fatigue sets in quickly. The performance ceiling is modest, so overtaking at high speeds requires patience. Riders who crave sharp handling or high horsepower will find it lacking. And depending on your region, spare parts and those fat tires might not always be sitting in stock at your local dealer. These are trade-offs, but for the right rider, they won't matter. The VanVan 200 is all about personality, charm, and fun. It's about hopping on, not worrying about lap times or top speed, and just enjoying the ride. It appeals to beginners who want something friendly, and to veterans who want a second bike that's lighthearted. It stands out in a crowd because it doesn't try to blend in. And in a world of motorcycles that sometimes feel like they're all converging on the same formula, the VanVan dares to be different. It's the bike that turns errands into adventures, that makes a short ride to the beach feel like a holiday, that keeps you grinning even at 50 kilometers an hour. If that sounds like your kind of fun, then the VanVan 200 is absolutely worth a look. And that's it for today's review. If you enjoyed this deep dive, give this video a like, subscribe to BikeBeat for more long-form motorcycle reviews, and drop a comment below. Would you choose the VanVan 200, or would you go for something like the Yamaha TW200 instead? Thanks for watching, ride safe, and I'll see you in the next one.